Welcome to Sincast, presented by Cinemasins.
Well, welcome everyone to the Sincast. I am Chris Atkinson, joined again by my partner in crime, Jeremy Scott.
Hello.
And once again, music video sins writer, Barrett Scher.
Yo.
We're enjoying this. Hopefully you are enjoying this. Guys, have you ever seen Dead Again?
Yes, but it was a long time ago.
Oh my God. Dead Again is...
It was at least back when he was still married to Emma Thompson.
Right. Yeah, it definitely was because they were in the movie together.
Right.
That's a great Kenneth Branagh movie. He in the middle of all the Shakespeare stuff that he did back in the day and everything. Dead Again, great movie.
It's so Branagh.
Good. It's so Branagh. Robin Williams shows up for no reason in a cameo. No, he's actually really good in it. But if you want to see a little mind twisty mystery movie, Dead Again, that's a good movie. That's a good Kenneth Branagh movie. Yeah. So, what do you think about that?
Andy Garcia's in there too, huh?
Andy Garcia, Derek Jacobi. Derek Jacobi's in it.
Are you IMDbing, Barrett?
No, that's just completely off the top of my head, including Wayne Knight. And
yes.
Wayne Knight.
Campbell
Knight.
Scott.
That's right. Campbell Scott was in it. Very
Definitely
briefly.
Crazy I saw this movie.
Campbell Scott comes in very briefly as a purse snatcher. No, it's not a purse snatcher, but he's pretending to be someone who knew Emma Thompson before she lost her memory and all that stuff.
It's like a thriller, right?
Yeah, it's a thriller.
Yeah.
It's partly in black and white when they tell a story in the past that relates to a story in the present. The story in the present is in color at all times.
Oh,
there's a lot of things.
It's like the Schindler's List
and
technique.
exactly, except not nearly as dour.
Exactly like Schindler's List.
But yeah, and there's a lot of stuff about scissors. A lot of stuff about scissors in that movie.
A lot of scissor imagery.
A lot of scissor imagery.
This might have been an age of scissor imagery. How far away from this movie is Edward Scissorhands?
It was after Edward hit Scissorhands, actually.
Okay,
Edward Scissorhands came first. Dead Again came out, I think, the year later, maybe.
I think we know where it got its inspiration.
That's right. Kenneth Branagh stealing from Edward Scissorhands to make his thriller.
Yet again.
Dead Again. But no, it's funny. Occasionally I think I've done this all my life. I have basically in my head send commercials for a really long time. And I think most people have. I mean, it's a stand-up comedy staple from the 80s and things like that. But there was a commercial that was going on that I just didn't understand at all. And it's the Trojan commercial where the couple is making out on the couch. And the guy drops his condom, and I don't know if have you seen this? Have you seen this commercial?
I think so.
The guy drops his condom, and then the girl's like, "No, well, look at this, I've got a condom." And then the guy's got this expression on his face, like, "I am such an idiot for dropping my condom," and he's laughing and laughing and laughing and laughing. And I'm like, why is he like that? Can't he just reach down and get the condom? Why does he have to?
It's too much effort.
Yeah, what is the deal? Then, just a couple of weeks ago, I saw that there was a longer version of this commercial. They actually cut out the reason for him being like he is in it. He's sitting there reaching for the condom and he can't get it, and it finally goes under the couch so that he can't get it. And that's something you don't see in the shorter version of it. So I was like, why is he being such an idiot the whole time?
You got to see the director's cut.
Yeah. But this goes into another commercial that I saw, and it's the Taco Bell commercial that came out a few months ago, where the guy tells the story about how he got his gold PS4. And
is that like the mob story and everything?
Yeah, the mob story, and he tells this great story, and of course, there's the guy at the end who's like, really? I thought you could get it at Taco Bell. That's how you got a gold PS4. You're a fucking idiot. So it was hard not to actually, when I was sending this, in my head, I was sitting there thinking, if you can get this at Taco Bell, why would you even bother telling this story that you got it from the Russian mob and all this other type of stuff? Like but then you know what was weird? I actually started to think, who's the hero of the story? Is it the guy who can come up with a creative? Is it a guy who can come up with a creative story, or is it the guy who says, "Why, you, none of this makes any sense at all"? And I'm like, I found myself thinking, are we that guy? Are we that guy that says, "Hey, yeah, I heard you could get this shit from Taco Bell," and blah, blah, blah. Are we that guy? And I feel like that guy is less fun than we are. However, we do get articles written about us that say that we're the anti-fun people, and I disagree with that. I think you can have a lot of fun pointing out mistakes and saying, hey, if we took this movie, ultimately seriously and everything, and just come out with the stuff that we don't really care about when we're watching it and we've taken our brain out to watch the movie in the theaters and everything. I think it's a lot of fun. And when you listen to stuff like how does this get made and all that, they're obviously having as much fun as we are. We're just not doing the kind of like, jokey, we're not Paul Scheer. We're not Jason Mantzoukas. We're not these people who are, saying it in a jokey manner and everything. But it's funny. It was funny to sit there and think, are we that guy? Are we that serious? Like, hey, really? Yeah, really? You get this at Taco Bell, man. What's the stupid story for?
You identify with the Taco Bell guy?
Yeah, I was like, am I? But at the same time, I think the hero of the story is the guy who can come up with the Russian mob story for his Taco Bell thing. And I'm like, that's the guy who's, is the fun guy. But anyway, that was some things that I was thinking about when I saw these commercials. Anyway, there's that.
I tweeted out something the other day about the TurboTax commercials, the new run of TurboTax commercials where they have like uber geniuses walk up and embarrass normal folk who apparently don't know how to push buttons to do their own. Have you seen these commercials?
Yeah,
they self-corrected.
Yeah,
have you seen the newer ones though?
Well, the newer ones have been corrected. I think it's because of my tweet.
I think you yes. That is highly probable.
What is the correction? What is the correction?
Actually, I think there was probably more widespread similar reaction to mine. Like you're insulting your customers, and somebody gave them feedback, but now they're what they should have been to begin with. Where the customers are like, I don't need your help, stupid. This is easy. Anyway, the first few genuinely made those people stupid. I was like, what are you doing? God.
So the first few were saying, don't be stupid, just get TurboTax? Or what were
No, the first few were like having like, we hired, chem biologist master degree dude to explain doing your taxes. And it's like a customer holding an app on a smartphone, and the guy goes, just push that button. Just push that OK button, or just take a picture of it. He just tells them something simple to do, and then the person does it. And it's like,
and now it's more like, did I buy a house? What are the different things that I did during the tax year and stuff like that, right?
Not necessarily. No, it's just that the person being given the advice makes it seem like they don't need it, and it was dumb for this person to tell them that advice because it's obvious information. Anyway, I like whenever I send a simple few characters and have mass cultural change because of my words.
Yeah,
happens all the time. Happens all the time.
I have it on great authority that TurboTax follows Jeremy's tweets.
You know what's really annoying? Do you guys have Red Zone? The NFL Red Zone?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you get addicted to that, watching football all the time. And then the playoffs come, and then you watch actual full games, and you have to sit through the commercials and everything. And now I am running out of patience of watching Batman and Superman be very angry at each other. Like, there's a lot of new spots of them just being very irate at each other.
Well, what they did was they took that last trailer and they cut down like 3 30-second clips from it and just ran them ad nauseum as ads themselves. I'm like, what are you doing? There's nothing even new here.
We're going to glare at each other.
Oh, yeah, I'm frustrated with that campaign for sure. And then Suicide Squad dropped the trailer last night. Did you guys see that?
I haven't seen that. And I haven't seen the 30-second spots that you're talking about. I usually try to avoid all that stuff anyway. But no, I haven't seen the Suicide Squad trailer yet.
It's balls out crazy. Like, I think it's supposed to be, but it's so crazy. I don't even know what that movie is trying to tell me. But apparently the DC fans are flipping out. Like, it's awesome. They love it. So,
the trailer's gotten very busy. Like the Star Trek trailer was very, very busy.
Yes.
There was no breath. There was no time in there.
Yeah. Look at this, conglomeration of action shots, jump cut together, and please want to see the movie based on that. That doesn't really work for me, but maybe I'm not the average moviegoer.
I don't know. It was funny that I really didn't like that new Star Trek trailer at all, and I was reading a preview type of thing. Here's what to look out for this summer and this year or whatever, and they said the new Star Trek trailer is awesome in this article, and I was like, is it really that awesome? I don't remember it being awesome.
Simon Pegg even said he hates it.
Yeah. I saw that.
Right. So I don't know what's going on with that. I mean, we're getting to the point now where the third movies of reboots are no different from the third movies of the original series as far as quality is concerned.
Right. What are we doing right now? Are we still just kind of talking stream of consciousness, current events? Did you guys see that the sequel to Terminator Genesis got scrapped today?
Oh, it got scrapped today. Yeah,
they pulled it from the calendar.
Yeah, and it'll be rebooted again at some other point. You know it is. Somebody's going to think, hey, I can do this story better. Whatever. It's really not anything that needed to go past part 2, but someone down the line will buy the rights to that, and it'll be a new movie at some point. But it'll probably be a while. Yeah,
well, hopefully they'll just start from scratch, tell a new story. I don't want any more time travel. We've had 6 of this. We've already talked about this.
Yeah. I think we've already talked about this, but it's in something that is coming up.
Oh, yeah. Something hasn't been released yet.
The whole Terminator thing is.
You know who needs to get his hands on it? Kenneth Branagh.
Yeah, absolutely. If Kenneth Branagh now, I mean, actually, after having seen Thor and Cinderella, I don't think he needs to have his hands anywhere near Terminator franchise. It's going to be not something that I would pick.
I want to see Baz Luhrmann do a Terminator movie.
Oh my God, I'm there. I am totally there.
All style, but with actual robots killing things. That'd be awesome.
We are going to talk about at some point the Revenant. Actually, we'll just go into the Revenant right now. Jeremy, I'll let you take the floor on this to start off. What do you think?
Well, I loved it. For a few days after seeing it, it wrestled with Ex Machina for my top spot of the year. Of course, I saw it in 2016, but it's a 2015 film. There are a handful of things that I think I would have made different choices on, and we can discuss those in the spoilery section, but the visuals are just breathtaking. Thought the acting was great, especially Tom Hardy. The action, there are moments when this movie almost kills my suspension of disbelief just because I can't figure out how they got that shot. Mm-hmm. And it's driving me crazy. How did they shoot that? But I love it. I give it a solid A, and I'm going to see it again a lot of times.
Yeah, that first opening scene, and I guess we should just go ahead and say this is probably going to have spoilers in it or whatever. So, if you haven't seen The Revenant yet, then, go see it first, and then
go back and listen to the commercial talk.
Yeah, and then listen to this. But anyway, that opening scene where the camera's roving around and the Native Americans are attacking, and there's arrows flying all over the place, and of course it's all one take, and it's just it's one of those things where you're sitting there going, how long did that take to do? That had to have taken at least a month, if not more, to do that one shot. Yep. Unless there was some other sort of trickery going on there that we just didn't see, which is fine by me. I don't need to know.
I agree. Just like Birdman, there are moments where the camera lingers on water and pans back up or something, and I'm wondering if that was a cut, but I don't really care because, for me, it's not about whether it was a true one take. For me, it's about the way a really good staged one take makes me feel as a viewer and makes me feel like I'm literally in the center of that action. Mm-hmm. So I don't care if he used some tricks here and there. The sense is I'm here. This is happening all around me.
Yeah, and that scene that really grabbed me in the trailer where he's on the horse and he's shooting behind and all that. I don't know I don't remember if this happened in the trailer or not. I know that the full scene over many trailers was shown. But I had forgotten or didn't know that scene led right into the leading the horse off the cliff scene into the tree and everything. And I was sitting there going, oh my God, this is unbelievable.
Well, I didn't know that was coming either. And then the camera, it doesn't just go over the cliff and watch him. It kind of slowly starts dropping down too. And that was one of those moments where I was like, how in the world did you even conceive of this shot, let alone get it?
Right.
Barrett, what did you think?
I think it's a complicated movie. I think it's the brutality in it is almost just takes you to the very edge of what you can take as a viewer.
It does,
even to a cynical viewer like us. But that it's what it is. The main thing is the visuals, obviously, but the sound. And if you watch it in a very immersive experience, like in the theater, and you hear the arrows whiz by you, and you hear the viscera and the guts just kind of coming out of people as they're shot with muskets and things like that. I mean, every little detail makes the pain tangible. But then, and so it's uncomfortable at times, obviously, to watch, but it sticks with you. It sticks to your ribs, no pun intended. Like you'll think about it for the next 3 or 4 or 5 days or something like that, because it's just so gorgeous.
Well, and let's talk about the bear scene. I couldn't even look at the whole thing. And it wasn't because of blood or gore. It was because of, I've seen enough of this for a minute. I need to turn my head. It was just so hard to watch. It's really well done, in terms of the effects. It's obviously not a real bear. But the attack sequence, really, that was the single most difficult thing for me to see in the whole film.
It's unrelenting.
Yeah.
It really is.
And I watched it on an opening night where it was a sold out theater and all that. And there was a couple next to me, and the girl was just squirming on every single thing. I was like, I'm right there with you, actually. I mean, except for the fact that I'm a psychopath and I don't really care. But it really is actually, some extremely brutal violence and everything. Jeremy, you brought up Tom Hardy, who is probably my favorite actor going right now. I love Tom Hardy, but the thing is about him it's kind of funny right now for me to think about, is that his performances are almost always these mumbly, I can't understand every word he's saying type of things. He did it in Mad Max Fury Road. He did it in Lawless. He did it in the movie The Drop. He's
Bane.
And of course Bane, which is the ultimate. But I don't know if that's sort of a thing that he's just kind of gotten into or what. But I do very much love watching Tom Hardy.
Yeah, he's difficult to understand here, and I don't think it's as much mumbling this time as it is just that weird-ass accent that he doctored up for this character, which fits, and I think even makes him a little bit more menacing. But when I was done with the movie and I'm reflecting on it the next day, all I'm thinking about is Tom Hardy. I'm not thinking about Leo, and I thought Leo was fantastic in the movie, but the one that really haunts me is Tom Hardy's character.
Yeah, I agree. I that was the same way. I came out of that thinking Hardy stole the movie. Now, and DiCaprio is one of those. It's one of those weird things. He's probably going to win the Oscar for that. But are we giving too much credit for the work done on the outside of that, where he actually went through all these different things? Should the best actor winner, should it be what we see on screen, or should it be, we know all that backstory that what he went through and everything? And that's something that's a little difficult for me to parse on this. What do you guys think about that?
Well, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of that point we lost in the movie fight, where the Matrix Reloaded's car chase was better than the French Connection because the Matrix had built a set. Right. And that was their argument. Built a 2-mile road to film that. It's better. That's what this reminds me of.
Right.
Because I do think there is some of that going on. If you had never heard any of that about Leo, if you didn't read, this vegetarian actor actually ate a real liver for the movie, and he actually crawled in a horse's carved out body and yada yada. If you didn't know any of that, would this performance jump out at you as his top 5 best?
Right. It probably wouldn't. In fact, there's probably, I mean, he'll get it. I mean, he's going to get it, I think, based on what people can perceive as an extremely strong performance, but he's probably been better several times. I mean, The Departed and Wolf of Wall Street and all that. His detractors usually say his biggest weakness is that he yells a lot, and that's a sort of a thing of DiCaprio. But he's engaging in all those movies too.
Yeah, and he still is one of my favorite actors, but the Academy does this all the time. They take somebody they've overlooked for too long, and then they decide it's finally time to give them an acting Oscar, and they end up rewarding a performance that may not be among that person's best or even best that they were nominated for. Like with Denzel, I love him in Training Day, but that's far from his best role ever, right?
Yeah. And I mean, I guess we're splitting hairs. He did win for Glory, but that was a supporting actor.
Supporting, yeah.
Yeah, I guess that, as far as best actor or whatever, the one that I always come back to is Al Pacino, who had, I think it was 8 times got nominated, and then they said, all right, Son of a Woman, you win.
Just like his most forgettable movie for me.
And he got nominated also for Glenn Ross that year. He probably wasn't even the best actor in that movie, but they wanted to give him the Oscar, obviously. And
right.
But I still think his Glenn Ross performance is better than Sin of a Woman. So I mean, yeah, it's just it is silly how they do that lifetime achievement for a particular year.
Yeah, but it does feel like it's Leo's year for this movie. Well, let's talk about I want to talk about a couple of things I didn't like.
Okay.
One of the ones is not really the movie's fault in terms of what's on screen, but this is based on a true story. And some of the most badass aspects of this guy's real story were changed negatively, I think, in the movie. First, they give him the son, right? And that wasn't real. And I'm okay with that to an extent. But the whole voodoo Native American guy that puts him in a hut and heals his, in real life, Hugh Glass laid on a bunch of maggots to let him eat his festering wounds off. And that's way more hardcore than some magic Indian showed up to give you a powder or whatever.
Right. And let's also not forget that the story itself, which was, the movie is all about him, getting out and getting revenge on Tom Hardy and all that. In the real story, as I've read, it's basically he got out of that and then he just wanted to get his stuff back. That's pretty much
his rifle.
Yeah, he just wanted his stuff back, and that was the end of the story. But, you can't make a movie and expect people to sit there for 2.5 hours about a guy who just wants his stuff back.
I think there should be more Magic Indians in cinema, though. Right? I mean, it's been a long time since The Doors, since Wayne's World 2.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I actually liked that sequence in the film, especially the part where he imitates the Native American guy by getting the leaf drop of water. And I liked kind of the lull there that we had and the sort of spiritual journey kind of feeling. I just, compared to what really happened in real life, it felt like the easier way out here.
That was a badass scene though, where he just chops down all that wood to give him a hut in that windstorm.
Oh, yeah.
That was pretty badass.
It was. Another thing I didn't like, and you guys maybe I missed it. Maybe it went by too fast and I got it wrong. But does Leo turn and look at the camera at the final shot?
Yes, absolutely he does.
That was really bothering to me.
Absolutely he does. Well, there's a couple of things that break the fourth wall, actually, is the breath on the camera lens.
Yeah.
That happens periodically. And then, absolutely, he turns and looks right at the camera at the very end of the shot.
Wouldn't it be more powerful if the camera moved so that it gave the illusion that he was maybe looking at us, as opposed to him literally turning there's been a camera here this whole time and now I'm acknowledging it?
Maybe he's looking at the camera and being like, is that enough for my fucking Oscar?
Maybe, but I mean, do you guys even understand what the creative choice was going for there?
No, I mean, I think a lot of times it's just as it's done in Castaway or whatever, where you have the end thing where it's that he's looking towards his future more than he's really looking at the camera and saying, whatever. I think the most egregious part, the egregious camera movement where someone's looking at the cameras in JFK, where at the end of the big huge trial or whatever, Kevin Costner's like, "It's up to you," and the camera, goes to his eyes or whatever, basically saying, "You out there watching in the theater, you need to find the who really killed JFK," that type of thing. That's where I find it egregious. I didn't really notice it in this one. So, I mean, I couldn't really comment on it, but that's usually what I perceive that to be more than anything. But he might be just going just dead-eyed into the camera. I didn't see that.
Well, what about you guys? Anything stuck out that you didn't enjoy that much?
Oh, I got one. The
Go for it.
bison. Did anybody notice a very stark CGI look to the bison, especially in contrast to the rest of the naturalistic environment?
I did not. Maybe they blew their effects budget on the bear.
One.
Yeah, maybe that's our animal budget. That's it. So we're going to just do some Photoshop on some bisons kicking around.
Copy paste. I didn't notice that.
The next time you see it, eyeball it, because it just looks out of place. It's almost like the deck of the Titanic as they're pulling out back in with effects in 1998 or 7. But it kind of it's very computery.
It's kind of a weird choice, don't you think, for somebody that went so far out of his way and had so many delays and went to South America just so he could shoot in real snow?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I think it was very weird. It stood out to me. I don't know if I was just kind of, for some reason, attending to it, but it seemed like it was very artificial in this morass of reality.
Well, I'm being very ignorant here. Are there that many real bison left in the world?
Well, there's a field of them down south of Brentwood. I used to drive by when I was training at Kroger.
Bison?
Yeah.
Wow.
Might have been buffalo. And you can eat bison at several restaurants. There's got to be enough of them.
I guess they're not endangered or anything. I
think buffalo are gone.
Buffalo, yeah,
and bison are just similar enough that we interchange the words. But.
Yeah, but they also might be really hard to wrangle, or they might be. We're making excuses for the movie. That's not what we do. But
the opposite of what we do.
It's hard wrangling bison.
Hey, you put some CGI bison in there. I don't care how hard it is to wrangle those motherfuckers. You better put them in there.
How many bison wranglers do you know?
Right. But I guess mine is a really simple one. It's a lazy one, and I'm sorry about this, but it was too long for me. I think there are some really slow stretches in it.
Yeah.
Too long is kind of a lazy thing. But if you are noticing the length when you're watching it, I think it's a valid criticism and everything. Because not everything it's almost like they're saying this isn't epic enough if it's not 2.5 hours or more, And
I mean the final, I guess we've already let the spoilers out, but the final scene, the confrontation, I guess you knew it was going to go down to hand, bloody, very guttural performances, like you're trying to kill each other, right? It wasn't just going to be a shootout or anything like that.
Right.
And that seemed to stretch on just in perpetuity. It just took forever. Just die.
Right.
Die.
I'm also interested how Alejandro G. Inarritu
you just wanted to show off you can pronounce that.
That was nice.
I probably still pronounced it wrong, but I'm interested to see where his career turned a little bit, because he used to make these really dour movies like 21 Grams and Babel and everything. Now, Revenant is kind of in that same thing, but it's, Babel and 21 Grams you don't think of as exciting adventures in any way. They're they're slow dramas with a lot of human, I don't know, just really slow human drama type stuff. And then suddenly he does Birdman, and he's he's doing a kinetic type of film and everything. And he does that again here with The Revenant. So I'm kind of wondering, where he got that. Has that always been in him? Is that something that he's wanted to do for all this time, or what? But I am really enjoying this new phase.
Yeah, me too. And golly, how good a year did Dom Hall Gleason? He was in Force Awakens. He was in this movie. He was in Ex Machina.
Yeah.
And he's going to be in the Fantastic Beasts movie coming up. He is having a banner year.
Yeah.
Him and Oscar Isaac.
Right. It won't be long before, we'll be seeing that guy and everything. I mean, I looked at that the other day, in fact, because I actually rewatched Ex Machina just 2 days ago. And I looked him up and I was like, oh, yeah, he was in all these movies. Like, there was a ton of movies. Good God.
He's the guy that you called that Hitler guy when we reviewed Force Awakens.
Right. Called him Hitler. Yeah. Yeah. He was playing Hitler. Yeah, all over the place, and it was just funny because I popped in Ex Machina and I was like, oh yeah, it's that guy, and Oscar Isaac from Star Wars is also in this,
Yep.
So it's that's really cool.
I liked the score. I couldn't sing any of it to you right now,
actually.
but I remember thinking a couple different times that it was helping me feel anxious, which is what they were going for.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
it's not repetitive. You know what I mean? Like there's no real central theme to it. It kind of moves as the story does.
Yeah,
which is kind of nice. You know, it goes from percussive to very these legato violins and everything. And
yeah.
An interesting thing also, I guess at the end, I don't remember what the entire situation was, but I thought it was kind of interesting that the woman that he helps earlier, because she's getting raped because all bad guys are rapists. She helps him at the end when they're in that little creek or whatever, and the Native American guys finish off Tom Hardy and all that. And then they just kind of ride by him like, peace out, then, you didn't want to offer him a ride anywhere, So, I don't know if I thought his horses might be dead or something like that before they got to that point, but man, they just like, all right, well, we'll see you. We did what we had to do.
We're not going to kill you.
Yeah.
But we're not going to save you.
That's right.
It's like Arya and, that guy in Game of Thrones where she refused to kill him. She just left him.
Oh, yeah, the dog or whatever.
The Hound.
The Hound, that's right. Yeah, just everybody in the Game of Thrones universe there just went, oh my God, the dog, it's the Hound.
You're not a true fan because you called him the dog.
Not a true fan, not at all.
It's like calling the mountain the hill, you dumbass.
Exactly. No, I've only seen all the episodes once, so I can't consider myself a real fan.
Have you read the books?
I haven't read the books, no. And honestly, if you are a book fan, why would you? Because George R.R. Martin is just teases the hell out of you, doesn't he? He's just like, all right, I'm coming out with this 5th book or whatever, and it's going to be a doozy. And then a year later, we're still waiting for that book.
Yeah, that seems to be taking him longer as he goes.
Yeah, I think he is actually coming out with it before this next season or whatever. I think that's something or it might even actually be happening after the season. I'm not sure. It's something tent-poled like that, where the book's either coming out before the season or after the season, and he's gonna get as much as he can out of that book from that. He could release it right now and it'd be the same way, but
I think there are enough book fans that. It's an interesting adaptation, actually. We somehow morphed into talking about Game of Thrones, but
right.
It's so different, almost like The Walking Dead. Like it can exist and coexist and have fans of both because there are so many differences they've written in from the books to the TV adaptation. So you could, there's no telling that what we're going to see in this next season is even what he's going to put in the book because they've diverged so many different times.
Right.
Do we want to see if we can find some questions?
Yeah, let's do that.
One question I'm seeing in a lot of places is our thoughts on the Oscar nominations, and then at least one person specifically wondering our thoughts on the Oscars so white hashtag and the diversity problem. So we can at least in general talk about our thoughts on the nominations, right?
Right. I guess to address the whiteness thing, it does seem like a lot of great performances do sort of get dismissed for whatever reason. You could just say it's blatant racism, or it could just be that everybody's friends in Hollywood are getting nominated and they're just not friends with, some of these people. I really have always thought stuff like the Oscars and Golden Globes, especially the Golden Globes, it's really, who you know and are you popular and all that. It took forever for Martin Scorsese to win a Best Director. Oscar, and it was because he wasn't beloved in Hollywood, which I find really strange. I don't know what he did to piss people off, but it finally got it in The Departed. But I mean, if you're mostly white, voters are hanging out with mostly white people, then that's the type of thing that you're going to get. And a lot of times you will get there's a few more black people than usual getting nominated when you have a movie like The Help comes out, or something like that, and then that has its own connotations a lot of times. Oh, okay, we'll nominate the movie about the white guilt or whatever. So that those tend to get favored a lot. So yeah, I mean, I think Straight Outta Compton, which was the biggest hit and had the most critical, like what was it, 90% on Rotten Tomatoes or something like that when it
something
came
like
out?
that, yeah.
That feels like that was extremely underrepresented, but again, it could just be the good old boy type of thing going on, and it doesn't make it right. But unfortunately, that's what I think kind of happens.
Wasn't it a big deal? I think it was Silence of the Lambs when somebody or something for Silence of the Lambs won, because it had come out so early in the year. And at that point in the Oscars, like traditionally you release Oscar films in the last third or last quarter of the year. And Straight Outta Compton was out when? Like in the spring or the summer?
Came out in August.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's not so far away, actually.
No.
And then Creed is the other one that I see people talking about. Yeah. And I haven't seen that film.
And I actually saw Creed. Now, there is one that I didn't see Straight Outta Compton yet. I am going to see it because now it's out on Blu-ray and everything. But Creed is one that is the most puzzling to me. Sylvester Stallone gets nominated for another Rocky Balboa performance, and I mean he can do that in his sleep if he wants to, and that performance is perfectly okay. And if you want to talk about best of the year or whatever, I mean this is one where they just want to give Stallone a nomination. It's pretty clear to me. Michael B. Jordan is the best part of Creed. He's the guy who carries the movie. And the movie is really, really good. Like, I was actually surprised how good that was, considering it's really like the 7th Rocky movie that came out. Yeah. By the way, just as an aside, when's the last year that you can think of that had 3 number 7s come out? You had Furious 7, you had Creed, and you had The Force Awakens. All came out. Were the 7th of their franchise.
Yeah, that's got to be a first.
But anyway, he's really good in Creed, and I think he's starting to develop that type of career where he's getting noticed and everything. But it's almost like, well, we'll see what you're like on your next movie. Whatever. And like, you just substitute him for Stallone, and we're good.
What is it about boxing and movies? Like, boxing, the sport, has been dying a slow death for 30 years. It's at its worst point ever. And yet we still get like 2-3 boxing movies of Southpaw, and even going back to $1 Million Baby. And it just seems like there's always a boxing movie. Yeah. Why are we so fascinated with boxing movies?
It's high drama. It's easily dramatizable, right?
Right. And also,
much more so than the money grabs that are the actual fights.
When we were looking for sports movies to do, when we had that DraftKings ad or whatever,
it was FanDuel.
It was FanDuel. Okay.
Note to sponsors.
Well, they both just got a free mention, so it doesn't.
Yeah, that's right. It was FanDuel. All right. But when we did that, I was looking at the top grossing ones, and they're almost all boxing movies. There's hardly any. There's hardly any football, baseball. I mean, some hockey. I mean, obviously Mighty Ducks gets in there, gets mentioned every once in a while, and we actually considered that for a little bit. But there's very rarely do they get football or baseball right, and nobody goes to see them. But the boxing movies, you can relate to the one person, the singular person, the drama they're going through. All that. I think that it's more suited to a movie than the team sports.
It also looks like people can train to be able to look like they can box a lot easier than they can be trained to look like they can throw a baseball.
Yeah. I mean? Well, and that's the thing. You watch something like The Natural or whatever, and you see Robert Redford swing the bat a lot of times, it's like, he's not hitting homers. It's not terribly egregious in that movie, but I've seen some other movies. I think The Fan with Wesley Snipes was was one of the biggest ones that I was like, no, that guy's not good. He's not a good baseball player. But
he's playing Barry Bonds in that movie.
He's basically playing Barry Bonds, and what's the same thing in Major League. In Major League, he's just not, I mean, in that one, at least they make him, where he's fast and he doesn't have that much power and everything. It's a little bit more believable than the Barry Bonds they throw him in as The Fan.
Well, I'm a sucker for like a Kevin Costner sports movie. Like,
yeah,
with one or two exceptions, they always turn out pretty good. Like Field of Dreams and Bull Durham and Tin Cup. Of course, those last two were the same director, but
yeah,
yeah, it just seems like boxing is the only one that's a real draw, and I think it has as much to do with, we can relate to the boxer more because it's a personal dilemma, but I think it has more to do with the performances, because they always seem to be like Oscar movies too. Although there was that one stretch in the 90s where we got a bunch of comedy boxing movies like Digstown and
Play It to the Bone.
And then what's the one about the white guy, the Great White Hype?
Oh yeah, the Great White Hype. Wow.
Why did we do that? Not one of those movies was good.
Yeah. And, but I guess steering it back towards the Oscars and everything, I guess I just sort of say this as far as the race is concerned. I think there probably, yes, there are racists in Hollywood. I mean, obviously there are, but
what?
Yeah. Whoa. But, minorities have been nominated before. So it's not like they're completely the driving voice. But
and I don't even think you can blame the nominations completely, right? Because the Academy still is going to be dealing with whatever films the studios put out. And the studio executives are presumably just as racist or not racist as the Academy members, right? So,
right.
And that's going to come in, like last year we had Selma, and we had a bunch of other movies that had a lot more roles that were showy for minority actors, and whereas this year we're sort of just talking about Straight Outta Compton and Creed, and we're not really coming up with a bunch more.
Yeah, and briefly Concussion, which I haven't seen, but I mean, the trailer for it seems like Will Smith's kind of hamming it up a little bit.
What's funny is the best thing I've read about that movie is that his performance is that he's really good in it, but it's kind of boring.
It could be very good. I just haven't seen it.
Have you seen Beasts of No Nation?
No, but I heard that Idris Elba was really good in it. And that was another one that was another one that's been cited. And I can already tell you before I even watched the movie that he's probably Oscar-worthy performance in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he's always good.
Well, and that's the dude from True Detective Season 1, Cary Fuka, whatever.
Yeah.
So it's it's going to be good.
Yeah, which it also leads me to to think back to that where they were talking about him possibly being Bond, which I'd love to see Idris Elba as Bond. And I think
awesome.
And I think it's weird to me that I think people would go watch it. I think Bond fans would go watch it. They got over all this
they would.
blonde Bond stuff and all this other stuff with Daniel Craig, and every new Bond, they're always, I don't like it. I'll go see it.
They all make money. It doesn't matter.
They all make money. So you put somebody who's really good in it and he's awesome. It's just like anything. I remember when Heath Ledger was, everybody was like, oh, he can't be the Joker. And they were sort of basing that on the fact that he did Brokeback Mountain, which I think is the silliest thing in the world. Like in Brokeback Mountain, he's awesome in that movie.
He's incredible.
He's awesome in that movie. And it's not like, what do you think Brokeback Mountain is? Do you think it's like, a bunch of like limp-wristed, what is it? These guys are like, these guys are like
they're
ranch
cowboys.
hands. Yeah, these guys are strong and all this other type of stuff. And he puts in a performance where he's just a very strong dude. So when he was announced as the Joker, it was like, oh my God, Heath Ledger, blah, blah, blah. I was like, hey, he's going to be good, guys. You watch. And sure enough, he's amazing in it.
Yep.
But so yeah, I mean, it is weird. It is weird that it happens that way. I wish it didn't. I don't know how we would solve that problem, unfortunately.
I'm anxious to see what Chris Rock has to say about it.
Oh, and that's for sure going to be most of the monologue, you think.
I hope he just goes old school, pull no punches, Chris Rock, like his old stand-up specials, and just blasts it. I think that'd be amazing.
Yeah, and I hope he does such has such a performance that the Oscars might even consider, like, you know, pulling
Yanking
him off during the show.
That would be amazing.
That's how bad I want him to do. That's how
just
much
goes to commercial. All of a sudden, we come back and there's like Jennifer Garner up there.
Right.
Like, good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Up here.
Anne Hathaway, James Franco.
We'll give you another shot, James.
Yeah, it's like, well, looks like they went to their last resort here. But yeah, I mean, it's obviously a shame that these people haven't been these people. What do you mean these people?
What do you mean these people?
But it's a shame that they don't get nominated for whatever reason it is, and I guess we can go ahead and start talking about the other parts of it, what we do like about it, what nominees that we agree with or whatever. I watched a little bit of the announcements. I haven't memorized these by any means, but I like the nominations for The Big Short. The Big Short's a really good movie. Let's see what else is on there.
I'll Google them.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, The Revenant came.
The Revenant
with,
got 12 nominations.
Right?
Yeah, and most of those are deserved. I think we might see. Here's my fear. I think Tom Hardy deserves that Oscar, and I worry he may not get it because they're going to give Leo one, and then they're not going to want to give like all the Oscars to The Revenant.
Right.
Well, it'll probably take cinematography too, right?
Oh, for sure. I don't know.
So
if there's
here are the
better.
best pictures: Big Short, Bridge of Spies, Brooklyn, Mad Max: Fury Road, Martian, Revenant, Room, and Spotlight. And I've seen maybe less than half of those because so many of them are small. Like I haven't seen Room or Spotlight. So yeah, I've seen 4 of these. Chris, you've probably seen the most of all of us on this list.
Yeah, and I even that I haven't seen. I haven't seen Spotlight. I haven't seen Brooklyn. I haven't seen Room. But I have seen The Revenant, and I have. What's the other ones?
Mad Max,
The Martian, Mad Max, Bridge of Spies.
I haven't seen Bridge of Spies.
Me neither. It's one of those movies that just it got good reviews, but didn't sound interesting.
Yeah, it didn't make me want to just go out of the theater and watch it. But I heard so many good things about it. Everybody who I knew who watched it just said it was great.
Can we all agree that if somebody does beat Leo for the Best Actor Oscar, it's going to be Eddie Redmayne?
Oh my God. I don't know. It seems like in that particular situation, you wouldn't, if we think Hollywood and the Oscars are the way we think they are, you've had your Oscar ready, Eddie Redmayne. We're going to give it to Leo.
Well, who else would? You've got Cranston for Trumbo, which I guess very few people saw. Damon's not going to win it for The Martian. Fassbender, from what I hear, is good in Steve Jobs, but and as good as that movie is, he's a function of Sorkin's script and that kind of thing. And so I guess it comes down to those two, right?
But doesn't the Academy, who's apparently very racist, also like love cross-dressing rules? Like, isn't that like documented?
I don't know.
I'm not trying to be insensitive.
No, I know you're not. I'm just trying to think.
That was a heavy sigh.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think that's true. I mean, as far as and we're going to obviously not say all the right things, and I'm not trying to be insensitive. Whatever Hillary Swank was and Boys Don't Cry, whatever you call her that. She won.
Oh, you got, what was the other one? Crying Game?
Crying Game got nominated, didn't win.
Didn't win. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then,
I mean, you're not wrong. I just don't know if they've like lavished Oscars on these performances.
Just remembering it that way. All right. Well, you may be right, but didn't they? How many does Jennifer Lawrence have? Has she won twice? And if so, didn't she win twice in a row?
She
won for Winter's Bone, right?
I think she's been nominated 5 times. I think that's right.
She won last year.
Did she?
For American Hustle?
No, that wasn't last year.
That was the year before?
Yeah, I think so. And now she did win for it, I'm sure.
Achievements. Lawrence won an Academy Award for Best Actress for Silver Linings Playbook. She won Best Supporting Actress for American Hustle. And I'm almost positive she won for Winter's Bone.
Well, no, she didn't win for Winter's Bone. No.
She didn't?
No, she's won 2 Oscars. That's it.
Okay. All right. So maybe you're right.
Yeah.
Maybe Eddie Redmayne doesn't stand a chance.
Yeah.
But then Leo's screwed next year if he wins. He can't win again.
In referring to Hilary Swank, she won the 2 times she got nominated, and it was always famously against Annette Bening, who everybody was like, well, it's time to give it to Annette Bening. And then she got it for Hilary Swank beat her in 2004 for $1 Million Baby.
What's she done lately?
Almost nothing. That I've seen anyway. I mean, I'm sure that she's coming out with movies. We just haven't seen them.
Let me see what other nominations.
Oh, actually, no. She has won. Jennifer Lawrence has won 1 Oscar.
Yeah, she didn't win for American Hustle.
Yeah, she won for Silver Linings, and she's been nominated 4 times. Winter's Bone, won for Silver Linings, and then got nominated for American Hustle and Joy this year.
Okay.
So 4 total. And I mean, she's going to be kind of like how Meryl Streep is, though. They love her so much. They're going to, anytime she's in a movie, she's going to get consideration.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I like her too.
I'm not complaining.
It's hard to, I know who I'm going to be rooting for in most of these, but like in almost all these categories, there's 3 films I haven't seen because I haven't seen Carol, The Danish Girl, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
the directing Oscar has The Big Short, Mad Max, The Revenant, Room, and Spotlight. I've seen 2 of those.
Yeah.
I'd give it to the Revenant guy, I guess. I don't know.
It'd be another, Alejandro G. Inarritu Oscars, which it just was last year. And that'll be amazing if he pulls that off. But he's the front runner, I think.
Could be some interesting, like, bucking Oscar trends.
Well,
this
actually,
year.
It might be George Miller is the front runner for director, and then Revenant is front runner for picture.
That's probably correct.
It might
George
actually
Miller,
do that. Because there's another one where they're like, well, I mean, and not that he doesn't deserve it, but that's another one where they might be like, oh, we should honor this guy. He's 70.
I like your logic. He's old like us.
Well,
Let's give him an award.
It does happen a lot. That happens probably the most of anything in the Oscars is when somebody has hit a certain age. They're like, well, we might not be able to honor this guy again. He might be gone next year. That type of thing. So, I think it was, they gave it to Palance back for City Slickers and who was it?
All things.
Yeah. And
he's great in that movie. But
yeah, he is. That seems to happen quite a bit. And I mean, I think it will happen for George Miller, actually.
Well, that'd be pretty cool. I'd be all right with that.
Oh, yeah.
I thought
totally.
that was one of the 2 or 3 best films of the year. So.
Yeah. I'm still trying to figure out what my favorite of 2015 is still. I mean, Ex Machina is the one that I always come to.
Me too.
And Mad Max Fury Road is right alongside it. I think it's probably 1A and 1B. As you'd ask me on any particular day, it'll be different from what I said yesterday.
Yeah, that's where I'm at right now too. And now, do we know when the Oscars are?
It's in February.
Yeah, so
it's like February 26th or something.
Still time for us to see some of these that we haven't seen yet, and I'm hoping to. But there's your Oscar talk. You asked for it.
Hang on, I got one more. I'm going to throw my
more
support behind a kind of a controversial opinion. I think the film 50 Shades of Grey deserves an Oscar.
Mm-hmm.
For nudity?
For the best song?
Best song.
Yeah.
Earned it The Weeknd. That is clearly, I mean, I haven't heard all of these, but Manta Ray on Racing Extinction, Simple Song number 3 from Youth, Till It Happens to You, The Hunting Ground, or Writings on the Wall. Spectra, I assume that's the same.
Oh my God! And Writings on the Wall won the Golden Globe. I couldn't. I was a little shocked at that. Actually, I don't know. That song doesn't seem very good to me, but I don't know.
They're going to give it to Gaga, aren't they?
Gaga for what?
Didn't she co-write one of these songs? I'm pretty sure she co-wrote one of these nominated songs.
No, I don't know which one.
I'm unsure.
I just know that Weeknd song is badass.
Till It Happens to
really?
You.
And it just happens to be in 50 Shades of Grey, huh?
It just happens to be in 50 Shades. That soundtrack actually is not that bad. Strangely enough, that Crazy in Love cover that they played in the trailer over and over again, that's a really, the slowed down cover and everything. Yeah, so it's got a pretty good soundtrack.
Till It Happens to You is written by Diane Warren and Lady Gaga. I think that'll probably win.
Oh, wow. And Diane Warren I think she's won several Oscars for stuff like that. Like
53.
Oh, you know what?
She's won 53.
That'll put Gaga on her way to an EGOT, right?
To a what?
A what?
To an EGOT.
Oh, all the awards across. Does she have a Tony?
Well, she got a Golden Globe.
She got it. Yeah, she won it. Yeah.
Yeah, she got a Golden Globe. I don't know if she's won an Emmy. Emmys are
they'll be next fall.
Actually, Diane Warren has been nominated 8 times and has never won.
Wow. Well, maybe it's her year.
She got nominated for Mannequin. Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now.
Yes.
Can you believe that? That got nominated for an Oscar. And then 1997, Up Close and Personal, Because You Love Me. That's Celine Dion.
I love that movie. That's my favorite Robert Redford, Michelle Pfeiffer news-based movie.
I know. It's so amazing. 1998 got nominated for Con Air for the song How Do I Live, which I believe was the Leanne Rimes version.
Oh, yeah, I think it was.
Armageddon, I Don't Want to Miss a Thing.
Jeez. What, she co-wrote that?
Yeah, she did.
You'd think Aerosmith could write their own shit, right?
Yeah. And then got nominated for Music of the Heart for Music of My Heart. Then got nominated for Pearl Harbor, There You'll Be. And then got nominated last year for Beyond the Lights for the song Grateful.
Interesting.
So
Bruckheimer likes using her.
Yeah.
I was going to say Babe, but he didn't do Con Air. That was Simon West, right?
Yeah, Simon West.
Well, it's a Bruckheimer connection.
But it is Bruckheimer, yeah.
Again, we should do that. We should really do a whole podcast where we talk about the NFL coaching trees of Hollywood, like directors and writers and creative people and the people that have worked with them and have gone on to be great at stuff. We really need to have that discussion.
Yeah,
as a teaser.
Sure. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, at some point. Anything else about the Oscars at all?
I'm going to watch it. I'm going to live tweet it.
There's one thing I'll say about the Oscars is and they did this during the Golden Globes, and it's gotten super tired, and I just don't want to hear any more jokes about it. Is that how long the show is?
The meta jokes.
Yeah. It just I'm just exhausted of the. Yeah, we get it. It's long. If you're a movie fan and you generally care about the Oscars at all, you don't care how long this show is. You don't care. I mean, yeah, maybe somebody who's like just casually watching it cares, but it's always going to go longer than it says on your TV guide and all that other type of stuff. And I mean, probably just go ahead and make a drinking game for, how many times they say, the show's gone long. Boy, it's longer than Revenant, blah, blah, blah. That type of thing.
That'll definitely happen.
Yeah.
I just hope it's not Chris Rock that does it. He's above that.
Yeah, you would think. But I don't know. I'm talking out of my ass here. I'm pretty sure he did it last time he was on.
Oh, well, okay. Maybe not.
Yeah, I mean, every once in a while. I mean, yeah, just... I'm just tired of those jokes. It's like, okay, we get it. We're going to watch it anyway, probably. So
I just want to see a very edgy black comic make fun of a bunch of rich old white people. That's what I want to see because he's going to do it. He can't not do it. So it's going to be fun.
directly to their faces makes it more satisfying too.
Yeah, well,
true.
And the last time I loved all that stuff that he's, I mean, it was all in jest, but he was talking about how Jude Law was in everything. And, he's like, if you need to come out, you need to get another actor, because he's taking all the jobs or something like that. And like, it's like, if you got a role and the only person you can come up with is me, then you should come up with somebody else, that. But yeah. And then Sean Penn comes out and says, you know what? Jude Law is one of our greatest actors. You shouldn't say stuff like that. I'm like, come on, Sean Penn, you're the guy in the Taco Bell commercial.
This is all we need to ever say is, come on, Sean Penn. No matter what the headline is, that should be our reaction.
Really, really, he's one of our greatest actors of all time, and you can get the golden PS4 at Taco Bell.
In our new segment, come on, Sean Penn.
Yeah.
Well, this week, Sean Penn made news by interviewing El Chapo and then going on American television to explain his regret.
Yeah.
Come on, Sean Penn.
Yeah, you don't regret that, Sean Penn. Anyway, we did the podcast. We talked about Oscars and stuff like that, and like a day or two, the Oscars said, you know what, we really need to start getting more diverse. So they changed their membership requirements and qualifications and all that other type of stuff, and in order to get more diverse by the year 2020. So they're making an effort. It's one of those things where it's reacting rather than acting. This is something that they've heard for years and years and years, that they weren't diverse enough, and now they finally do it when people are threatening boycotts.
Is it an overcorrection?
Yeah,
or just the right kind of correction?
It's just exactly what you would expect. As soon as somebody says we're boycotting this and they think that they might lose a whole bunch of people because of it, then they start making corrections. They've had this, it's been a problem for a really long time. But that now they're finally doing something about it. I think they felt like as long as they got a couple of black people and a couple of Spanish people, they were doing okay, because there would be some years where there'd be, more than usual. But far and beyond this also being a racial thing or whatever, we have to also understand that Hollywood is also lazy. One of the things that they do that is, we were talking about Jennifer Lawrence, she's gotten nominated her 4th time or whatever. Kate Blanchett nominated her 7th time. Meryl Streep's been nominated 19 times.
Jesus.
There are, I think that in general, this goes back to what we were saying earlier about who and all that. I think Meryl Streep got to a point where it just didn't matter what movie she was in. They were just going to nominate her for it. And she won for The Iron Lady. That was her 3rd Oscar. She had been nominated for so many other great performances that didn't win. But The Iron Lady is what gets her 3rd win. But I was looking at this, talking about as far as laziness is concerned, I was looking into Paul Giamatti. Paul Giamatti has been nominated 1 time.
For Planet of the Apes?
Yes, of course, for Planet of the Apes. No, for Cinderella Man, which he was extremely good in, and I'm glad he got nominated for. But you're talking about a guy who everybody likes. Everybody likes Paul Giamatti. And there have been at least two instances where Giamatti should have been nominated and didn't get nominated because, I believe, of Hollywood laziness. American Splendor came out in 2003. He was great as Harvey Picar.
Oh, yeah.
Did not get nominated for that. And that year, it was 2003. Though I was looking at the nominations, and I like Jude Law as much as anybody. Cold Mountain is not a movie that I remember fondly in any way. He got nominated for that. I don't remember anything about it. Ben Kingsley got nominated for The House of Sand and Fog. That was an okay movie. He was good in it. But you're talking about an iconic performance. Paul Giamatti didn't even get nominated for that. The following year, he was in Sideways.
Yeah.
And did not get nominated. That was a year that in 2004, Johnny Depp was suddenly getting a bunch of accolades after having a career in the 90s that he just didn't get nominated at all for some reason. There was a lot of great performances in the 90s. He never got nominated until he did Pirates of the Caribbean. And in 2004, they're like, well, you know what? We'll give Johnny Depp a nomination for Finding Neverland, which, nobody remembers that movie at all. And meanwhile, Paul Giamatti gets shafted for Sideways, and the movie itself got nominated for Best Picture, Best Director. Virginia Madsen got nominated. You have to also realize that there's a system problem here, not just a racial problem. And there's laziness, and then there's just general stuff like that doesn't make any sense. People getting nominated that shouldn't get nominated, movies that people go crazy for that will not be remembered the next year. So I just wanted to say that as far as the Oscars are concerned, there's a lot more other little, stuff like that. Harrison Ford's only been nominated once, even though I don't think anybody's ever really considered Ford like a great actor. He's had a lot of performances where you're like, a guy who's loved like that, you would think he would have been nominated more than that. So there's a lot of little other issues in there. And I just wanted to say that before we went into the next podcast. All right. Well, that's the Sincast for this week, whenever it airs. Signing off.
Thanks for listening. Make sure to check out Cinemasins on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Tumblr. And be sure to visit cinemasins.com.
If there's an emergency podcast situation, jump on and just chat for a while, and if something comes of it, that's good.
I can just see it. I'm out at the McDonald's down the street, and I get a text message saying emergency podcast. We have to do it now.
We got to have a big, like a red phone with a rotary dial.
It's a life or death situation here.
I don't know why, but I hear like action music.
What's that?
I hear action music under that. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah.